Hi everyone, this is day 3 of my journey to recovering my brain, my mind, and this is the first day that I went to Cognitive FX. It was a huge day for me, and there's a lot of information to share, so this is going to be a bit long. The first thing I did in the morning was I went to a neuro-ophthalmologist, so someone who understands the connection, the relationship between how the eyes work and how the brain works. I did a number of tests, and he told me that I have a reading rate half of what is normal for my age, 164 words per minute, and I believe the average range is about 360. He also said that I have a reading grade level efficiency of a second grader. A little humbling. And it's not reading comprehension level of a second grader. I wouldn't be in grad school otherwise. But it's the way I track and the way how fast I read and how well my eyes move together. And how often do I look back at previous words when I'm reading. And he said the reason why is, I believe he said twofold. One is that the muscles around the sac of fluid in my eye, they're constantly strained. They don't relax, and because of that, that's probably the greatest source of the headaches that I've been feeling, the constant headaches that have existed around this region of my head. He also said that my left eye just gives out. Under a certain level of strain or stress, the left eye doesn't function anymore, it just stops. And even before that, my left eye moves much slower than my right eye. And it goes back. He tracked the individual eyes, and the left eye would go back far more often than the right eye. And so I don't have binocular synchrony. And because my two eyes don't move at the same speed and the same timing, and because of all the eye strain, it takes more effort for me to read information. And that was hard to take in, but I was glad to have finally had some evidence of why it takes me so long to read something. I have to read oftentimes a paragraph at least 3 times before I understand it. So it takes me a really, really long time to do all my homework, and often I try to find, when I have an article to read, I pull it up on my phone and I use the accessibility function on my phone so I can listen to the verbal translations of what the document is. Now I know why. So that was the first morning of my day. That was at a different center, and then I went to Cognitive FX, and they introduced the facility to me. It's a very interesting place. I have my own locker. There are a number of other patients there, all with some sort of concussion or traumatic brain injury, and they're all being treated in different ways. I secluded myself from everyone else because it's just a lot to take in on the first day, and I tried to be as centered as I could. So every break I had, I journaled, or I was in therapy sessions, or I was doing tests, and they gave me a lot of tests. So the first one, really the main test, was the functional MRI, where I was in a tube, a very loud machine, for 45 minutes, and they would give me different visual exams, whether it was placing what shape was missing in this array of shapes and colors, or if it was recognizing a shape and then thinking of the name of what that was. So I would see an image of an apple and I would have to think apple, or there would be several faces that would come across and I would have to remember which faces that I saw. I'll remember the other exercises as I go through the results. So this is what they showed. This is kind of a summary of it. The normal human function of a brain at my age should be 0 or up to about 0.8. This is someone who hasn't gone through a concussion or a traumatic brain injury. I'm at 2.49, which is in the middle area where people who have had concussions are at. These are 5 biomarkers, and if you have 3 to 5 of these that are above 0.8, that means that your brain is not functioning correctly. And I have 4 out of 5 that are above 0.8. So this right here summarizes my mind is not working the way it should be. Okay, now going through the individual exam results. This is one where I had to pick different shapes or see an array of shapes and colors and see which one was missing. And as you can see, the dark blue region right in the middle, this is the middle of the bell curve. This is what all brains should be. This means that the brain is working way too hard, double sometimes what it should be doing. This down here means the brain is not working really at all. And as you can see, here I'm way up there, and down here it is not working. So over here, this is my executive functioning. I'm not a neuroscientist. I don't know if this is the correct pronunciation of these regions of the brain, but the frontal gyrus, the frontal pole, the superior middle frontal gyrus, the frontal pole, and the inferior frontal gyrus. They're all working way too hard, and those things, they control planning, reasoning, decision-making, judgment, emotions. So every time I have to make a decision or every time I feel an emotion, my brain is working, she was saying, twice as hard as it should be, which is causing my mind to strain even more than it needs to be. This purple one right here, this is superior parietal lobe. That's the spatial awareness. So that's also working more than it needs to. And I think for dancing, I really struggle. I can dance on the dance floor when I don't think about anything, and I can feel the music, and I can feel my partner, I can feel the floor, and I move, but I don't know what I'm doing. And I really struggle to imagine dance moves. I can't really see it in my mind, and I think that's what this part is. It's that spatial awareness. That makes a lot of sense. And this right here, basal ganglia, that is my motor coordination. It just isn't working the way it should be. So that's actually being on the dance floor. When I dance, I've told people, and I'm sure some of you who are watching this have heard me say this to you, that I do 5 moves, and that's it. I just repeat the 5 things because I really struggle to do anything else. And maybe this is why. Okay, so the next exam was I had to trace letters and numbers interchangeably in sequential order. So 1, A, 2, B, 3, C, like that. And for the most part, things are working except for this superior colliculus, and that is control of eye movements, and that just reinforces what Dr. Duvall, the neuro-ophthalmologist, was telling me, that he's witnessing how my eyes are struggling. This is saying that my brain is not communicating to my eyes in coordinating eye movements. So it's both the eyes and the brain are not working very well. And I forgot to mention when I said that my left eye is not tracking as well, or is it slower in movement. I think it has something to do with the fact that both injuries, both the car accident was here and the blow from the desk, the leg of the desk was here in this region. Makes sense. And the surgery I had to put the titanium plate is right here. This is shape recognition. And when I saw this, she was saying this is how a brain should look. And I said, well, then that's not my brain. She said, no, this is actually your brain. Your brain can recognize shapes really well. If I see an image of a broom, I'll say broom, or toothbrush, I say toothbrush. This is how all the exams should look like, in mostly the dark purple in the middle. That's good news. This was the hard one. This is face memory test results. So I would see faces, and the fMRI would see how well I can recognize faces that I had seen previously. So the right hippocampus, the left hippocampus, the right middle frontal gyrus, the left middle frontal gyrus, and the posterior medial frontal cortex. They are all functioning well below normal. And she was saying how there are three main ways of processing information from memory. The first is how I receive the information. How well is my attention? And it's not well at all. I'm not able to pay attention to something close enough or with enough detail to absorb the information. And then once I absorb the information, it's not able to get to other regions of my brain, that middle area, the working, she said, the working memory is not working. And then the area where the long-term memory is stored is also not working. So those three areas just don't work. And she said that how this translates into my regular life is, she said, this is schoolwork. This is my ability to do work, which makes a lot of sense. This is why I struggle so much to do my work, which is why I have to take a reduced course load, or take extensions on certain assignments, or take longer to complete my exams. Verbal memory test results. What did I have to do here? Oh, this is when there were words and I had to remember what the words I saw were. And it's not terrible, it's not normal, but it's not all that bad. It's better than the visual memory. So what that means is I have a greater capacity to absorb auditory information than visual information. So I can listen to audiobooks or listen to podcasts much better than I can watch the news, read the newspaper, or read a book. And then here, the verbal fluency. I can't remember what kind of test I had to do for here. But what this shows, like this one, everything is below normal. There's nothing really, except for that one, nothing really in this middle region. And she was saying that what that translates to is I struggle to find my words. Sometimes that could be stuttering, and I have difficulty expressing what I say. And a lot of people have commented, or they joke around and make jest about how slow I talk. I think I've always talked slowly, but what these concussions have done is they just exacerbated whatever struggles my mind had before. Case in point. And she said, I'm not crying now, but when I saw the ophthalmologist and when I was talking to the person interpreting my test results, I was tearing up and I was choking, getting choked up. I was telling them that for the longest time, people have been telling me that I'm okay. And because I present as okay, I've tried to internalize that whatever struggles I've been having, I shouldn't be having those struggles, that I should push myself to not face these struggles because they're not real. And what these doctors have done for me is that they've shown with these tests, with evidence, that actually no, that all my suspicions and all the struggles I've had, that's all real. And it was as if this load, this weight was taken off my shoulders. And I can relax and say, this isn't my fault. That my brain wasn't like this before. That it was functioning properly before, and the things I'm dealing with now are out of my hands, were out of my hands. And they told me that all the results that I have, I am the perfect patient for this kind of treatment. That Cognitive FX, they open their doors to treat people like me. That their treatments are specifically designed for these symptoms, to treat these symptoms to recovery. I was excited to hear that. I'm still cautiously optimistic because I've tried so many things, and even though this is really something I've never seen before, I don't want to be disappointed, but I'm quietly very, very excited. And you all made this happen. You all believed that I was worth this effort. And I was telling all the doctors that I would love to get all this information because I want to communicate all this to you as best as I can, so you all understand that you are changing my life. That this is going to change my life. And I can't express to you how thankful I am. I want to add one little thing. There's something in science where if you know that you're going to be doing an experiment, if you know that you're being tested, that alters the effect of how you actually take the exam. And while I was taking the fMRIs or throughout all the therapies, in my mind I was thinking, I gotta do this for all of you. You all are counting on me to do this. And it's kind of a conflict of interest because it's, I'm not letting myself just experience this kind of treatment and be as pure in this process as possible. I feel pressure to improve. I feel pressure to remember all this stuff so I can make these videos and you all can hear what's going on. And I don't think anyone out there is asking for that or wants to put that pressure on me. I just want to be honest with what I'm thinking. I think all of you have been so gracious in your support. And if there's a day, the reason why I say this is because if there's a day throughout the week where I just don't post something, it's probably because I'm trying to reflect if making a video is helpful for me in that moment or if it's going to be somewhat counterproductive. Anyways, I'm still going to be documenting everything, and if anything, after all this is over, then I will certainly keep you all updated. Thank you, everyone. Bye.